really early in Jerry and Esther's experience with us. It was before Esther was flowing like this. She was sort of grunting mostly, or typing. And they received an impulse to play a game with friends. They were living in Phoenix, and they said to their friends, go hide somewhere, go be somewhere, and we'll find you. And then they just followed Esther's impulse. Let's go that way, let's go that way. And when they would come to a place where the decision had to be made, it was sort of hard to tell whether the impulse to go that way was stronger than the impulse not to go that way, because both were true. If the impulses go that way, then your logic tells you that your impulse is to not go that way. But there's a difference between what the impulse is. The impulse was to go that way, and Esther translated into don't go that way in her mind, because she was sort of oriented like that, watching out for potholes and things like that. So once you get the hang of this and you are looking for the pleasure of it, then you're going in the direction of your pleasure, not away from the direction of your less than pleasure.
I like this new idea, this pleasure.
Yeah.
And so in this case, you were for some reason you were struggling that morning with focus. Well, you said, and the whole idea of dream a new dream came up. And you were like, instead of trying to fix this, why don't I just create?
Esther had been focus wheeling with a friend, wanting to find the other side of that. And the harder they tried to find the other side of it, the more the side they didn't want to be at was looming. So that is what happened.
Yeah, I love this.
It got absurd.
I love it.
It became absurd.
And this whole idea of, really resonated with me. I almost think it was related to the pile of sticks one too, but this idea of just forget trying to fix this and just dream a new idea.
But the thing is, that's easier said than done, because the done part is impossible for this reason. You can't buck your own current. So when you say, I'm just going to forget about this thing I'm thinking about, no, you're not. You're not going to forget about it. You're not going to forget about it. You got to think about something else. And if you try to think about the exact opposite of the thing that you're trying to forget about, you still don't forget about it. You still think about it in the way that it is. Because every subject is wanted on one end and the absence of it on the other. So where are you going with this? We know you know everything we know about this. Where are you going with this?
I like it. I just thought, maybe there would be a new idea come out of it or resonation, but it really resonates with me. Yeah.
Here's an even better idea. For a long time we've been saying, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And we've been saying that every subject is like a stick that you pick up. You activate the subject, and wanted is on one end of it, and the absence of what is wanted on the other end of it. And it's helpful for you to know which end of the stick you're on before you pick it up or before you focus on it. But here's the deal. We've talked about this already here today. Most people pick up the stick because it's a problem stick they want to fix. That's the reason that you're on most subjects, is because you're trying to improve the subject. Haven't you noticed? Well, we're trying to help you to get oriented differently. We want you to pick up the stick for the pleasure of it, but most of you are trying to fix things. And so most people activate the subject because they're trying to improve it in some way, which kind of works against you. So here's a new way of looking at that will soothe that right away. So let's pick up a stick, throw out a subject. Doesn't matter what it is.
Money's always a good one.
So pick up the money stick, abundance on one end and lack of abundance on the other. And just for clarity of this way of looking at it, let's etch into this wooden stick with a wood burning tool plenty of money on this end and not enough money on this end. So we've got our stick. Now, that stick came out of a whole pile of sticks. So let's put it back in the pile, and let's reach into the pile and pick it up again. We got the same stick, because that's what's active within us. But this time, let's etch into this end of the stick. How things have been going for me. The manifestation in my life right now, which equals the way I usually think about it. In other words, the physical, human approach to the money thing. Like, I want more work, and I want more money, and I want more money for the work that I'm doing, and I want to inherit something. In other words, it's all about the manifestation parts of it. And so let's put get more money. Let's etch that into the stick. But on the other end of the stick, let's etch something different. Let's etch freedom and fun and ease and happy and flowers and jumping whales. So now, approaching the stick differently. Now you're looking for the feeling of the stick, not the practicality of the stick. See how it shifts? Now you've got that stick. but you're focused in a non-resistant way. Because all that money that you want is for freedom and choices and expansion and opportunities and fun. And so you're less likely to activate the resistant part of it just by approaching it that way, which is the same thing we've talked about in other days as we've talked about go general. It is going more general, but it's going more general on a specific subject, but it's doing it for a different reason. It's going more general on the specific subject because of the pleasure that end of the stick gives me that the other end of the stick can't give me right now. That end of the stick can't give me pleasure. I've practiced those specific thoughts in such a way that end of the stick is just not giving me pleasure right now. And it's not because I'm not wise, and it's not because I'm bad. It's just because I've got momentum. And so what we're talking about here, this is a concept really worth grasping. We're talking about where we started today, that you are more than you see. There's the practical you, human you, doing you, and there's the non-physical you. There's the non-resistant you, and there's the sometimes resistant you. There's the non-physical, non-resistant you who is looking for the essence of life, not the material things. And then there's the physical you who wants the material things and should, who thinks that the material things will bring the spiritual things. And there's the non-physical you that knows that the spiritual things don't need the physical things. But there's the physical you that wants to need the physical things in order to have the non-physical things. And well, you should. You are on the leading edge. You came to hook up to source energy and to turn your thoughts to things, to lovely things that thrill you, to lovely things that feel better than when they weren't there. But if you're so humanly oriented and the absence of those things is so pressing in your experience, you just can't get there from there. You can't get there from there, but you can get there from freedom and ease and joy and self-love.
Yeah. That's funny you said that, because that's what my companies are full of, about bridging that human side. And I got that spiritual side that you don't need all that. And then I got the other side that says, well, I really like nice cars. I want an Audi R8 so I can...
People are so scrambled about that because they want to call someone who has managed prosperity, they often want to call them greedy. Because in their so far not ability to gather the resources, then absence of them makes them contemplate the pie, and a person that has a bigger piece of the ever-growing pie is annoying to someone that hasn't figured out how to get their piece. But when you step back and realize that you can't get that money today, probably not. If you're feeling like this, it's a ways down the road, but you can feel free, and you can see a whale, and you can smell a flower, and a hummingbird will come and look you right in the eye and say, hey. In other words, there's all kinds of evidence of your alignment and your universal spiritual prosperity that you have instant access to. And then when you layer onto that the reason you want that is for that anyway, and you can have that now. The reason you want that manifestation is because you think that manifestation will lead to these good feelings. And isn't it a little ironic that you can get those feelings without that? But then when you get those feelings, all that must come because you put it in the vortex. It just can't be your motive. You can't say, I'm going to tune in and I'm going to get all that stuff I've been asking for. It slows it way down. But if you say, I'm going to tune in because it feels so good to tune in. Oh, I'm tuned in. It feels so good to be tuned in. And oh, look at that. I didn't even remember I wanted that. Look at that beautiful man and that beautiful relationship, she said. Things came to me that I didn't even know that I wanted.
Right, I love that. Yeah, well, I love it. And I particularly love this, you're not living by human laws, so stop that. But the other thing that I like that you said, there's nothing more spiritual than manifesting physical things. And that, I think, is brilliant.
It is brilliant, but we're going to clarify it. If you're under the influence of Source, there's nothing more spiritual than what you manifest under the influence of Source. But you manifest a lot of things not under the influence of Source, and we don't think that's all that spiritual.
That's not spiritual. Right. Right. Rather be over here.
There's a distinction, isn't there?
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that. I needed that.
And so how I feel along my journey is really evidence of how I'm going to feel when I get there. There's never a happy ending to an unhappy journey. Never, ever, 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 ever. But you got to want the journey simply for the joy of the journey. Because if you stick in the result that you're looking for, usually you introduce resistance and you slow it way down. We've said that in lots of different ways. We think you've heard it. Do you?
Thanks so much.
Enough?
Yeah.
We want you to recognize that as we've been chewing together here today, that everything that's on your mind and therefore in your vortex has been known by your inner being and therefore by us, and we have talked about it all day long. There's nothing serious going on here. And we don't just mean here in this forum, we mean here in your life experience. Nothing serious in the sense that you've got dragons to slay and things to fix and imbalances to correct and wrongs to right. That's not what you came for. You came knowing that there'd be some of that, but you didn't come with a sense of responsibility that your satisfaction would come from fixing those things. Because you were really wise. You understood the laws of the universe as you were making your decision to be out here on this leading edge. You knew that the contrast would serve you because it would help you to define what you want. But you knew that once that definition happened within you, that your singular work would be to find the pleasure in that movie, you see. So, if we'd met you on your first day, we would have nothing to say. You wouldn't have been asking anything. You'd have just been all frisky and saying, where's the contrast? Where's the contrast? Where's the contrast? And your inner being would say, oh, looking for the contrast, are you? Why are you looking for the contrast? And you'd say, building my vortex. I'm putting the distinct, unique things that matter to me forward. And your inner being, teacher that it is, might say, why would you want to do that? And you would say, because I know for sure from all that I've lived that unless I'm moving in the direction of something that I personally want, that there's no satisfaction. And after all, I came for the satisfaction of living life on planet Earth, of being the creator of my own reality, of assisting others in understanding the well-being that abounds. I came to do my part, my important part in the expansion of this universe. And your inner being, still in teaching mode, might say, oh, and is the expansion of the universe your responsibility? And you, in your very new infant wisdom, would say, oh no, it's not a responsibility, it's just fun. The expansion of the universe is inevitable. That can't be stopped. I don't have to do my work to cause the universe to expand. Our collective variance is what causes the expansion of the universe. And then your wise inner being might say to you, and so, you keep talking about the contrast or the variety or the variance. Are you here in order to tip that variance one way or another? And in your frisky infant wisdom, you would say, oh no, it's all appropriate. I'm not coming to stop anything. I'm just coming to find unique combinations of what's already here that please me more. That's how you felt when you came. And it's how we want you to return to feeling. We want you to know that you may be or do or have whatever you choose. And as you choose it, that the reason that you are choosing it is because you know the love and joy and pleasure and passion of non-resistant thought. You have known your power, and you will never be happy in any moment that you are not allowing it to flow through you, you see. And your power is not at all about what anybody else is doing. It's yours. It's yours for the taking.